How does a player who poured in 17.5 points per game last season find herself on the outside looking in as training camp opens? That's the puzzle facing Chennedy Carter, once one of the WNBA's most electric scorers, now an unrestricted free agent with no takers. In a league riding a wave of record-breaking viewership, fueled in no small part by the meteoric rise of Caitlin Clark, Carter's absence from any training camp roster is impossible to ignore. What happened between her highlight reels and the roster sheets? Today, we unpack the rise, the fall, and the desperate bid to rewrite a narrative that refuses to stay buried. By the end, you'll see why no amount of scoring prowess can override questions about accountability, character, and the cost of crossing an unwritten line, and why Carter's story might just redefine how the WNBA protects its stars. How does a 17.5 point per game scorer head into April without a contract? Carter stormed onto the scene in 2024, shooting near 49%, drilling mid-range pull-ups, and serving up 3.5 rebounds and 3.1 assists every night. She didn't just fill the stat sheet, she carried the Chicago Sky offense through countless stretches when Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso were still finding their footing. Yet as the rest of the league locked down their rosters, Carter's name never popped up. No qualifying offer from the Sky, no whispers of a sign and trade, just the deafening silence of an era that prizes superstar images and squeaky clean optics above raw scoring talent. But talent alone can't pay the rent when questions about conduct and commitment loom larger than any highlight dunk. And Carter's case offers a cautionary tale. In today's WNBA, performance without professionalism is a one-way ticket to free agency limbo. But how did a once celebrated rookie morph into a roster pariah? To answer that, we need to rewind to her earliest pro days and the moment things first went off the rails. Her college highlights read like a recruiter's dream. SEC scoring king, NCAA tournament heroics, All-American nods. When Atlanta picked her 4th overall in 2020, fans expected fireworks. And Carter delivered, becoming the youngest player ever to drop 30 points, racking up Rookie of the Year buzz before an ankle tweak sidelined her. Yet off-court tensions soon eclipsed her on-court exploits. In July 2021, the Dream stunned the league by suspending her indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. Rumors swirled, heated exchanges with teammates, threats of physical confrontation, a locker room divide that fractured chemistry. No one ever questioned her talent, just her temperament. Her suspension lasted the rest of the season, and when Atlanta shuffled their rebuild, Carter was quietly traded to the Los Angeles Sparks, a fresh start that lasted barely 1 year. But that early red flag, sidelined not by injury but by behavior, would never fully fade. It wasn't until last June, however, that Carter's career would face its most infamous chapter, one play that would define her public image for months to come. One moment, Carter finished a pull-up jumper. The next, she veered off her recovery path with laser focus on Indiana's rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. The replay was brutal. Carter sprinted across the paint, shoulder first, and blasted Clark off her feet in full view of shocked fans and commentators. Initially flagged as a common foul, the call was swiftly upgraded to a flagrant foul after review, an admission that this wasn't incidental, it was a deliberate act of aggression. Clark, ever composed, dusted herself off and kept playing. But social media exploded with outrage, calling the hit a cheap shot, an assault, even a conscious attempt to intimidate the league's breakout star. Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, and countless others decried the decision, demanding league intervention. The shoulder check didn't just rattle Clark, it rattled the entire WNBA, casting Carter as the villain in a storyline built around protecting emerging talent and professional decorum. In the wake of that hit, the league's reaction and Carter's subsequent silence set the stage for months of tension and a PR crisis waiting to erupt. Fans howled, commentators fumed, even the WNBA brass stepped in, reminding teams and players that the league's growth hinges on safety and sportsmanship. No fines were levied on Carter herself, but the Sky and Reese caught penalties for media non-compliance, a signal that the league expected public accountability. A conduct task force convened behind closed doors, debates raged over whether new rules were needed to curb off-ball aggression, and franchises quietly warned free agents that professionalism was non-negotiable non-negotiable. Amid these ripples, Carter's silence grew more deafening. Not a word at All-Star Weekend, not a public apology, just a blank spot on roster projections and constant headlines about her looming free agency fate. The message was clear. Talent is expendable when trust is broken. After months of quiet, Carter finally spoke, but her explanation only fanned the flames. On April 20th, with training camp start dates circled in every GM's calendar, Carter reappeared on a live stream interview with popular streamer N3On. The result was staggering. She brushed off the flagrant as just a little tap, claimed she was provoked by pre-play trash talk, and compared her actions to routine pushes and shoves in the NBA. When asked about accountability, she smiled and said, "I love the hate, I feed off it. No sincere regret, no admission of crossing the line. Just a glaring disconnect between reality, the video clip of a hard shoulder blast, and her offhand dismissal." Social media communities responded with mass eye rolls. Reddit threads labeled it a damage control operation, and insiders whispered that the timing wasn't coincidental, a last-ditch bid to sway front offices before rosters locked. Instead, her words reinforced the narrative of deflection and defiance. If the WNBA doors shut, Carter would have to turn elsewhere, and that elsewhere became China, where her performance reached cinematic heights. When the WNBA winter began, Carter signed with Wuhan Shengfan in the Chinese WCBA and promptly rewrote the record books. Over 20 games, she averaged a jaw-dropping 31.1 points, 7.2 rebounds, 6.0 assists, and 2.8 steals per outing. She exploded for 52 points in a playoff game, snagged a rare triple-double with 33 points, 17 boards, and 10 assists, and led her team into the second round. Overseas, she was untouchable, a nightly highlight reel machine and the league's top scorer. Yet even those gaudy numbers didn't translate into renewed WNBA interest. Front office chatter acknowledged her work ethic and killer instinct, but still flagged the Illinois-sized question mark sitting next to her stats character. In a league that now measures value not just in points per game, but in public perception and locker room harmony, Carter's dominance abroad was admirable, but insufficient. With no roster invites arriving, speculation swirled. Would any franchise risk talent over temperament? As training camps opened, every team was on the lookout for upgrades, but none called Carter. Rumors flickered on X, formerly Twitter, a late workout invite from Phoenix, a secret meeting in Chicago, whispers of a two-way contract from Seattle. European bloggers speculated she might return to Turkey or head to Spain. Even some bettors placed long odds on an Indiana Fever reunion, given her history with Clark, but Clark's camp publicly nixed the idea. Meanwhile, gambling lines on will Chennedy Carter sign before May 1st hovered at 98-1, with no movement. The tally was stark. 0 invitations, 0 offers, 0 rumors that held water. For a player once indispensable on offense, the silence spoke volumes about where trust and cohesion rank in today's WNBA. Carter's journey forces a broader question. In a league on the rise, what matters more, talent or teamwork? The WNBA is riding its most visible boom. New broadcast deals, corporate sponsorships, and mainstream interests, sparked by the likes of Caitlin Clark, are elevating the sport. In that environment, the league has little room for high-profile controversies or unchecked aggression. Carter's saga underscores a shift. Franchise decision-makers prioritize brand safety and locker room culture as fiercely as they chase scoring outputs. Any slip into unsportsmanlike conduct can eclipse on-court heroics. The unwritten code has become written: protect the league's rising stars, safeguard its image, and maintain an environment where 5 strangers on the court can trust one another implicitly. In a sport where teamwork wins championships, that trust is non-negotiable. Carter's impending crossroads invites every player and executive to consider. Is it worth the risk to bring aboard unbridled talent if it might fracture the collective vision? Chennedy Carter's story isn't just about a single flagrant foul or a string of roster rejects. It's a mirror reflecting how the WNBA's priorities have evolved, from pure athletic performance to a holistic balance of skill, accountability, and image. As Carter charts her next move, whether it's another overseas conquest or a return to American courts, her fate will hinge on more than her scoring prowess. It will depend on her willingness to own her past, rebuild trust, and align with the league's vision for growth. For fans, the lesson is clear. In today's women's basketball landscape, raw talent can open the door, but character keeps you inside. What do you think? Can Carter rewrite her narrative and earn back a roster spot? Or has she crossed a line that no highlight reel can erase? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for our next deep dive. We'll see you there.